What is up, peeps? This is HazardofChaos here, back again with another video. Okay, so I decided to make this video because, one, I'm a big fan, and two, why not? Oh, and three, because I need something to do other than just draw all day. So here I am, basically making this little hot take video of mine on a series that one of my best friends actually introduced me to. The series called Dr. Stone. Now, long story short, Dr. Stone is about this dude named Senku, who is a scientific genius. And needless to say, he clearly shows how much he knows his stuff. And is kind of casual about it, or as casual as all get out. Now, you got him and his boy Taiju. You got Taiju's, well, would-be girlfriend, I don't know where the fuck that's going so far, Yuzuriha. And it starts off, kind of typical, high school shit. Like, you're thinking, so how's this gonna play out, I wonder? Well, it plays out in a very drastic manner. Not even 10 minutes into this show, an apocalyptic event happens that causes everyone to get turned to stone. And I mean everybody.
What the hell?
Why did it get so dark?
Help! It's the end of the world!
Going off of that, basically put, Dr. Stone is its own, I guess you want to say, niche of an anime. And basically put, thousands of years later, Senku miraculously gets depetrified by a surprisingly scientific means. Not like, anything human-made, but rather nature-based science. Senku basically essentially gets his shit together rather quickly, I might add, and decides to, instead of sitting around moping like a little bitch, he gets off his ass, gets on his feet, and starts trying to find ways to rebuild from what essentially has happened. Because thanks to the thousands of years of time that humanity's been frozen in stone, well, civilization's pretty much gone. Just straight up gone. I'm not even gonna mince words on that. Anyway, what happens from here is that Senku, after spending a few months, he eventually gets his boy Taiju unfrozen, or depetrified, whichever one you want to call it at this point. I might as well just go with depetrified this, I guess. Whatever. Anyway, from there, they forage, they scavenge, they basically do whatever they can to survive. And of course, they come across Yuzuriha, who surprisingly is still intact. And, well, basically they just depetrify her. Well, but before then, they have to depetrify Tsukasa, this dude who happens to be the, and I quote, the strongest high school primate. Though this was largely a necessity due to, Taiju and Senku getting into some shit they were weighing over their heads on. Anyway, Tsukasa helps out Senku, but sadly, this little alliance between Senku and Tsukasa don't last long.
You do know what you just did, don't you?
To make a long story short, Tsukasa and Senku can't seem to find any sort of agreement on how this is to play out in terms of reviving humanity. Tsukasa, and I don't completely fault him for this, says that only the young and strong should be revived on the grounds of basically because the old and wealthy have taken advantage of people far too often. And to be fair, he's got a point. On the other hand, you got Senku who wants to revive all humanity because whether or not people have taken advantage of the other, we still all bring something to the table.
Especially grumpy today, Tsukasa.
Yeah? I suppose that is an accurate way of putting it.
So naturally, they don't agree. They have their falling out, resulting in a little bit of, I guess you want to say, attempted murder. Senku eventually goes off on his own, finds surprisingly a tribe of natives, primitive natives, I should say, who basically are. Well, I don't want to go into too much details without spoilers, so sorry, I'm not going to give you too much background information. But essentially, long story short, Senku runs into these natives by way of running to this girl named Kohaku. Naturally, he helps her out with some shit. He helps her out, and to make a long story short, they actually managed to make some weird form of a friendship. And basically from there, Senku and the natives, they decide to work together and essentially creating Senku's Kingdom of Science to counter Tsukasa's Empire of Might. Yes, this is an actual thing. Anywho, to make a long story short from there, they, again, because of their differences, this results in what's eventually going to be known as the Stone Wars. If you want to know the details on that, please watch it yourself. I'm not going to spoil shit if I can help it. Basically put, Senku spends a long amount of time with the natives, while also letting Taijin and Yuzuriha secretly know that essentially he wanted them to at least play nice with Tsukasa.
Yeah, go see Tsukasa, eh? Say what?
For their safety, at that. For mainly their safety and also for other reasons. So that I will not get into much here. So Senku's essentially going solo, for the most part, while working with the village, helping them out, competing in some of their in the local tournament, going from that to working with, surprisingly, the young scientist in training Chrome, who is surprisingly someone that could potentially give Senku a run for his money in due time. But to make a long story short, the characterization of Dr. Stone is very, I guess you want to say, very rich. You don't get bored with these characters that easily, if possible. In my honest opinion, this is a series that is a must-watch. The reason I say this, the story, the development, the characterization, it's all very rich. You don't get bored easily. Not to mention, this is a series. The reason I call this a niche kind of anime is because it's one of those rare animes where it actually uses apparently actual scientific methods and such that basically is apparently real life stuff. Yeah, don't try it at home if you can avoid it. Some of it's potentially illegal to do, but yeah, getting to the point. Basically put, Senku decides to teach them his ways of science, though it's slow going at first. And at the same time, Tsukasa is building up his own empire. Again, then before anyone continues, how they got free, you ask? Simple. Senku actually discovers a method to depetrify people, which is basically what he calls the miracle fluid, which is essentially some weird mix of chemicals I can't be bothered to remember the names of at the moment. I am no scientific expert. But like I said, the reason I call it a niche anime is because this is both a surprisingly very educational anime, and at the same time it keeps you interested with the, some of the shonen anime types of tropes and such. But to make a long story short, Senku and Tsukasa essentially are going to war because, again, difference in ideals. And the way this goes as it is. The eventual Stone Wars happen. And basically, it's where Tsukasa and Senku eventually resolve their differences. I won't give into specifics how. Again, watch for yourself. I strongly recommend you do. You might be surprised what you find. But yeah, going from Dr. Stone to Dr. Stone's Stone Wars, Senku helps the village basically learn to protect themselves by teaching them at the same time. Meanwhile, Tsukasa is, again, he's working on his Empire of Might. He's working on his ways to essentially counteract and or kill Senku by any means necessary, because he feels that Senku is in the wrong for how he wants to handle reviving civilization. And given some of his reasoning, you can't blame him. you can't entirely blame him with giving some of his reasoning, but at the same time, it's also pretty flawed. Now, in terms of the characters, I'm gonna be honest with y'all. Some of the characters are a bit nutty. They're a bit interesting. They're, like I said, they're not just rich. There's a lot of very interesting dynamics, so to speak, between the villagers that Senku works with, to Tsukasa and his people, to some of the people who might be the in-betweeners or whatever. All in all, it's really honestly a fun watch. You even get to, and let's be honest here, Senku is easily one of my favorite characters right off the bat, and because he's very straight to the point, and you can't help but like the guy on some level. He is a bit much at times, especially given some of his, I guess I want to say some of his methods or some of his behaviors. But all in all, it's a fun watch from start to, well, I can't really say finished, because the manga is currently ongoing as far as I'm aware right now. And if I remember correctly, I think they're going to be closing in on the last arc of the entire series, surprisingly. So the next season of Dr. Stone very well may be the last season. I've already watched all the way up to season 2. I've looked at bits of the manga without trying to spoil myself. So even I'm not aware what's going to happen going forward. Like, going forward from the end of Stone Wars, I have no clue what's going to happen. I only have supposition, my own speculation, whatever you want to call it. All in all, watch for yourself, check it out, and if you want, leave a comment, tell me what you think of Dr. Stone. But basically, I think personally it's a good series to sink your teeth into, and if you don't like it, that's perfectly fine. But like I said, I would suggest giving it a chance. You might be surprised what you find. As for the characters, like I said, very rich, very dynamic, very unique. I mean, granted, some of them are typical shonen type of characters, but there's a lot of character development going in, like a lot of subplots, character development going in and out of this story. Again, I would suggest strongly checking out for yourselves. Let me know what you guys think if you want. Leave a comment down below. I mean, honestly, I would love to find some people to discuss Dr. Stone with if it's possible. Maybe y'all be interested? I don't know. All I know is I personally find this series to be extremely enjoyable. And I'm actually being very patient and waiting for Season 2 to come out. Well, not Season 2 in this case, Season 3. But yeah, there's a lot of shit you get to learn about Senku along the way. About not just Senku, but also all the other characters that have their own contributions, their own... But in any case, though, they have their own, I guess you want to say, skill set. But yeah, like, in any case, though, please, check it out for yourselves. If nothing else, who knows, you might find something interesting out of it. So yeah, seen as also, in conclusion, Dr. Stone is definitely one of those anime that you don't expect to be so, I guess you want to say, so rich with knowledge. But it's educational, it's badass, to quote a friend of mine. And honestly, I was not disappointed when I first looked into this. I'm gonna be honest, depending on where this goes with the series, Senku will definitely, well, I'm not entirely sure of the methods how, but Senku will definitely make some big waves if he hasn't already. Not just him, but also Tsukasa, all the people they are connected with. It's all one gigantic wave of change with the new stone world they're in now. Reviving humanity may not be that difficult. Who knows? But in closing, if you would like to, I guess you want to say, if you like this video, don't forget to leave a like, comment, and subscribe. Please double check that notification bell, please, because YouTube is on some weird stuff, with some weird shit with the notifications these days, and sometimes the notifications may not even get out at all. Just a fair warning. Like I said, don't, like I've always said in the Retro Warrior videos I do with Justin, Zammy, Crossy. I'm gonna say it straight up. Don't just go off of my opinion of a series. If you are interested in checking out for yourself, please, by all means, do so. But don't be afraid to develop your own opinion. If anything, I wouldn't be surprised if I have at least one person who doesn't agree with my opinion whatsoever. And you know what? That's cool too. But yeah, like I said, don't forget again, leave a like, comment, subscribe, do whatever. If you don't like it, if you don't like the series or whatever, by all means, that's up to you. And please double check the notification bell. YouTube is on that stuff. Anyways, I'm HazardofChaos signing off. Peace out, peeps.